Now recording is started.
Mhm.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. We are going to start our session in 2 or 3 minutes. Hello everyone. Thank you so much everyone for joining today's session. I am Vishal Saraswat and I am closely associated with New Delhi Salesforce Developer Group. Today we are back with another Impact Salesforce Saturday session. This time we have our awesome guest speakers Durgesh Doot and Om Prakash. So Durgesh is the Partner Alliance Manager at Salesforce. So Durgesh, would you like to introduce more about yourself?
Sure. Hey, hi everyone. Although I have a slide for it, but hi everyone. Thanks for joining to this session. Looking forward to have this Heroku architecture preparation as well as how you can design scalable things on Heroku. We'll do this. I will kick off this session in like few minutes. Just quickly introducing myself. I'm Durgesh Sood, part of Salesforce ecosystem since last 9 years and so. And during this journey, I have really played a lot of different roles. Started as a developer, and then become an technical architect, and then soon, started playing role as a solution advisor. And now I'm in a different team where I take care of all the partner enablement and everything. By the way, when I was not part of Salesforce, I was leading Indore DOG group, was active in Jaipur DOG group, and also played or tried to give my contribution in the community in few other times. Yeah, back to you, Vishal.
Okay. Thank you so much, Durgesh. And we have another awesome speakers, Om Prakash. Om Prakash is a Salesforce MVP, Lightning Champion, and he is a Motiari Developer Group leader, and he is also running a MuleSoft Patna Group league. So, Om, would you like to introduce more about you?
Sure, thank you. Hi everyone, good morning. Yeah, I'm Om Prakash and I'm also super excited today for learning more by Durgesh about the Heroku architecture basics, how can we prepare for exams. So yeah, thank you. Please take it forward.
Okay. So, Durgesh, can we move to our next slide? I think we are done with the introduction part.
All right. So just quickly, before we kick off, and this is something which I always try to keep in mind that maybe during the session I might be speaking about a product or something which is not yet generally available. So as a developer, as a partner, or you should always go and recommend the things which are right now in a GA form to your customers, or take your buying purchase decisions based on that. With this, let's start. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Durgesh. Before moving further, we urge everyone to share your love for the New Delhi Salesforce Developer Group initiatives on social media channels with the following hashtags. you can see on the screen, like in New Delhi SFDC Tech and Impact Salesforce Saturday. Okay, we can move to the next slide. Okay, uh, we came into existence in February 2016. You can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and also on Telegram channel as well. We will share the link in the chat window in couple of next minutes. So this is the link for Twitter @ New Delhi SFDC Duck, and this is the hashtag for Impact Salesforce Saturday. That is hash Impact Salesforce Saturday, and this is the link of the New Delhi community. Durgesh, can we move to the next slide? Oh. Impact Salesforce Saturday. We are doing several initiatives in which we have Impact Salesforce Saturdays, which is a series of online Salesforce Saturday sessions where we run knowledge sharing sessions on every Saturday. Previously, it was known as Virtual Salesforce Saturday, but 2 years ago, it was rebranded to Impact Salesforce Saturday. You can find the link of our previous sessions, which we have mentioned here, and all of our upcoming sessions as well as. The other initiatives which we are talking about is Talent Central, which we have launched recently. Talent Central is a job portal like Naukri.com, Monster.com, or we can say Indeed.com. The vision of this platform is to connect freshers who is looking to get job in Salesforce ecosystem to HR. So if you are a fresher, we would like to request you to register yourself to the amazing portal, as currently we have more than half of dozens of HRs looking at your profile, and we have more than 300 plus students already registered on that. So this is okay. No. Mentorship Central. We are also running an initiative which is Mentorship Central, in which if you are looking for a mentor, you can sign up as a mentee. Means if you are a newcomer and you don't know how to start your career in Salesforce, so if you are looking to for a mentor, means you who can guide you in every portion of that. So you can register as a mentee, and if you would like to showcase your expertise in Salesforce ecosystem, and you would like to help everybody in the Salesforce ecosystem, you can sign up as a mentor. So this is a bit.ly link of Mentorship Central. Over to you, Durgesh.
Great. I guess you all will gonna get the links on the chat window afterwards. Like someone will share with you so that you can definitely go and check out these links. Just starting quickly on our today's agenda. And before I even kick off, I just want to quickly share and apologize if you are considering this just a 60 or 80 minutes of a session. Like since this is a vast topic, I will probably gonna take some extra time of your today's day, and then we'll go down and try to understand the basics of this. So probably I will gonna be taking 90 minutes or maybe like 100 minutes of time of yours. But we'll try our best, me and both, that we can make this session as valuable as it can be for all of you. All right. So with this quickly starting, like for the first half, we'll be covering majorly about how you can design the scalable Heroku architectures, or how you can design architectures using Heroku components, especially in a scalable form. All right. We'll talk about from a very basic level. I know many of you are newbies to Heroku, probably haven't worked on Heroku so far, but is very keen to understand about it. But surely, if there are many who are expert on Heroku or already working on a platform, probably this would be a good revision for them. Okay. And then in the second half, I will gonna help you being that like how you can prepare for this Heroku Architect Designer certification, and what are the points you need to keep in mind while you're going for it. All right. With this, let's quickly start. So our first topic says designing scalable Heroku architectures, right? To help you understand this thing, please keep these basic building blocks in your mind. And let me, take few minutes to explain each of them to you. But consider these are all the Legos, you can say, which you probably gonna need to design your application on Heroku. It starts from a Dino. Whenever you heard about Dino, consider it's like a virtual container which is available for you in Heroku platform, where you can deploy almost any language, and this platform can scale for you to run those languages. Okay. So yeah, in simple definition, Dino can be considered as the heart of the platform, where will code will gonna get deployed, will gonna be executing, and will be acting as as a layer from where you are interacting with your database, your services, and everything. Okay, it can be something like a web application, mobile backend as a service. It can be just a API, or many things. And I'm gonna speak about it in the upcoming slides. The second building block when you're designing an application on Heroku is, we all know database comes as the most important thing. Secondly, once the app is ready, because we need to keep the persistent data, or maybe just the cache data somewhere. So that's where Heroku provide you a collection of databases as a service. And the best part is, this is more like an enterprise grade solutions which are available for you. So we have a lot of different varieties of database services available for you. I'm going to speak about it. And then third thing comes in are elements. All right. So elements are you can consider it's a marketplace from where you can get services, subscription-based services by third parties, which can be quickly added in your application. A collection of open source buttons or the source codes which are available there, which can be referred and can be accessed. And similarly, build packs. I'll speak about it, but basically something like a framework readily available, which can be deployed on Heroku dynos. In today's world, release management is another very important part. We don't go and just make copies of our application. We put it into a complete release process, and that's where DevOps things becomes much more important. And initially it is more a luxury. Now it's become a necessity of every application development lifecycle, right? I will gonna speak about it as well. And the last part is how you can actually create your own isolated instances, how you can integrate Salesforce platform as well with Heroku, and so and so. Okay, but let's quickly jump in and try to, sorry, just a second, I guess some switch happened. No worry. Let's just quickly try to think about it, or try to design something in a flow. Okay, so consider you have already created some code into your app, into your local machine, or somewhere where it is already being executed locally, but now you want to expose this to end users. You want to convert this code into an app. Okay, and the next 20 minutes probably would be a journey of your application or your code to become an application. All right. So, and I want to keep it more interactive. So what's a better way to run polls for this, right? So what you all can do, and somebody can just post it. Actually, let me do this itself. Just a second. I will just gonna share this link with you, which you can just open, or otherwise just take out your phones and just scan this QR code, and you will jump on a screen where a question will start coming up. All right. So I just pasted it as well on the chat window so that you can access it. But otherwise, feel free to use your phones. That will be much more faster and better. Just scan this QR code, and you will be on a landing page. All right. So, and this is the question which you're gonna be seeing. And the question goes like this: according to you, what all things are required to convert a code into a production-ready application? Whether it would be just a place where your application would be running, a processing power, a database. What do you think? A machine? What do you think is the most important things which are need in today's world, considering everybody is using cloud-based services? What are the things you require to convert your code to an app which can be accessed by any user or any community? Let's see like how many of you were able to come here. Yeah, so we are seeing some interesting answers. There's like processors, CLI, database, platform. And these all are relevant. I mean, of course, some comes at a higher priority, some come at a lower one, but these all are relevant. I can only see 4 people have responded so far. Just want to quickly check, how many participants do we have right now?
I think everyone has not joined. Can you please participate? It will be interactive and it will help us. So no worry,
So
you can give any answer, right? So please scan
yeah.
your phone and participate, please.
Okay. So okay, I can see like we have around 20 folks who are
Now,
here. Great. I can see the answers are coming in, and thanks for responding. And like I said, all of these answers are correct in some or another way. It's just that sometimes we just look from the priority basis. So keep on answering. I will keep this page open, but most of you had actually got it correct. Uh, and this is, like a platform or a processor which is required to run your application, right? And in terms of Heroku world, these are being called as dynos, right? So you can now create the analogy. Like this is the place where your code is going to get deployed, and this will provide you a processing unit or a container where your application can be deployed. And like I said, basically, Heroku consider dynos as the heart of its platform, and it uses a container-based model to run and scale all of your applications. And this containers are lightweight and and virtual environments, which are uh, which are providing you everything, including memory, operating system, an ephemeral file system, and taking care of the security and everything. And as a part of this, basically these are so just from a layman understanding, you can say that this is a virtual container, something available for me, where I already get an Ubuntu OS being deployed and running on it. And by the way, this Ubuntu OS is maintained by us as a separate version in which we have removed all the extra things which are not required, and optimized it in such a way that it will give you best performance. But the other features you get is you can scale down, scale up your application. You can orchestrate your complete application, dashboard, as well as you can run matrices on it. You can monitor the life cycle of your application. You also get features like log aggregations and many more. Okay. And like I said, you can scale it horizontally, vertically, and can even configure it for auto scale. Like whenever there is a high demand of thing would be coming automatically, your services will gonna scale up so that it can cater all those things. And by the way, if you're a Docker fan, you can Heroku also supports Docker, and you can even deploy your images, or you can just register your registries and then can work on it. So this is one thing, but what is the next most important thing that any application needs? Well, I guess many of you already guessed it, and this was another most common answer which we were all seeing was database, right? That every application, as soon as it start running, it needs a database where it can persist the data, where it can store the data, right? Or even if it's just this temporary cache which you want to store, that is also not going to be required. Now, again, when you have a platform like Heroku, which is a managed platform as a service, you don't need to worry about managing the database on your own. You don't need to manage the versions of that DB. You need to start the server every time you're gonna kick off your app. Everything behind the scenes is available to you in a form of service. All right. Now, talking about database, I guess this is an interesting question for many of the developers, and since we are in Salesforce, we probably have worked on a lot of other things as well during our college days or during our other implementation journeys, right? So tell me, what all database system or services you have heard of or have worked on it. It can be anything, any type of database. Let's starting from Oracle, MySQL, MSQL, SQL. Just share, like I just want to understand on about how many of them have you worked on. You can even take the latest ones as well, which are getting more common in today's world. So all right, and you can answer multiple times. That's completely okay. Um, I can see some are Postgres developers and AWS data services. All right, Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB. All right, that's one of the most common non-SQL or non-structured DB commonly used. Let's wait for a few more seconds. In the meantime, others can participate. I can also see some responses on chat. Fox Pro. That was pretty old. By the way, thanks. But yeah, that was also having something. Siebel is an old legacy which we have seen. Redis is also, getting. By the way, it's a most liked database by the developers in today's world, based on the survey by Stack Overflow. Like Redis is the most liked DB, and then from the relational database perspective, Postgres is the second one. But yeah, thanks for answering. And like I said, this poll will remain open until the next poll will come in. But Heroku actually provides you three different set of databases services available. And this three which you are seeing on the screen are completely being managed by us. There are many more which are available, but let me explain about this first, this three first. So if you're looking for a relational based database service for yourself, where you want to manage your data into tabular structure form with schemas, tables, columns, and everything, you can have a Postgres database readily attached to your application. I guess we've seen that as a demo into a last exercise where we added a Postgres DB. We in fact use it as a OData connector as well. Sorry, OData Expose DB, and also a DB where all of our sessions were getting recorded. So if you haven't joined this, well, if you were not able to join that session last time, please go through the recordings. Probably you will see a fantastic demo there, which Om initially curated, and then I picked it up and showed it as a complete journey. The second database as a service, which is available just to store your key values or anything which is more like a non-structured form, and you want to keep it in a blazing fast DB service, and that's called Redis, which is also available in a form of a managed service for you. And nowadays we are seeing a lot of event-driven architectures are coming up in place. Where you need something which can be just which can track all the sequence of the actions which you're performing, whether tracking your mobile analytics, whether looking into an app like Uber, where all the instances of that particular driver is being tracked, like where he was, where he is right now, and so on, right? So Kafka is a great platform for this. I guess there's a bit background noise. Can someone mute Anuj? But talking about those three, there are many more which are available. Starting from MongoDB available in a form of managed service for you, Cassandra, which is also being commonly known, MySQL, like you mentioned. Many times, if you are looking for something like a GraphDB or a search Elasticsearch database, this all are available, and this all are available in a form of add-ons. And Heroku can support almost any type of data format for you. All right. Now, talking about this, but try to keep one thing in mind. We usually don't recommend you to use the file storage type of database services, right, inside the Heroku dynos. There is a reason for it, because all the file system inside Heroku are ephemeral. And why I'm sharing this is because this is more for sharing. There's more to share with you from architecture perspective, that while designing, what are the things you need to keep in mind. So every dyno has an ephemeral file structure, which means probably you might be creating or updating a file there for a temporary time, but as soon as that dyno will gonna refresh, probably that file will gonna get removed or get reset to its original state. Okay, so that's why the database services like SQLite or MySQL, which is usually available in a form of file system, Heroku doesn't recommend to run that or deploy them on dynos. All right. Now we have our application which is accessible by end users, running on a dyno, having a data service attached to it, where we are storing tables into Postgres, or we are just managing the sessions on Redis. That all is being done so far, let's say. But what about the other third-party services which your application would be needing? In this scenario, probably you'll go and go in a normal scenario. What you do, you go to the third parties, you create a separate contract with them, whether that's for application lifecycle management or managing your logins or having a single sign-on, or a lot of things, right? For all this, you'll probably need to manage a separate contract with them. But in case of Heroku platform, this all are available in a form of elements. And when we say elements, this is a collection of three things. There are add-ons, and we discussed this in our last session. Like there are more than 175 plus add-ons which are available, and this can be deployed into your application, whether in a form of from a point and click from Heroku dashboard, or just by a single command from your Heroku CLI tool built. But the the availability of add-ons make a developer's life very easy, because now he can just go and can subscribe for this fully managed services which are available, and he can extend his application usability or services just by using or reusing those existing pre-solutions which are already available there. Now uh, buying those subscriptions or those services, probably you might be start thinking that, do I need to manage separate contracts for them? How the billing of that will be done? So that's another good thing. Like everything will gonna be handled by a single Heroku account, and you don't need to worry about that. And even from the support perspective, you'll always be reaching out to Heroku for it, rather than directly talking to those respective partners, right? The second thing, especially shout out to a community, like they have created a collection of, there are more than 5,000 plus buttons which are available into Heroku community. And what these buttons are, these are like a pre-sourced or open sourced pre-packaged solutions available for you, which you can go and explore on GitHub. In fact, you can leverage them and can consider them as a simple applications for any of the particular use case for which you want to run your app. All right. And then thirdly, this comes the build pack, which is like a framework. So last time we see that Heroku supports um, a lot of different languages, and out of those languages there are like 8 to 9 frameworks which are completely being managed by us. And when I say managed by us, they get the first class support. We manage their security, we manage their source controls, we manage their all the latest updates on those frameworks. Whenever a new version of Node.js would be coming, it would be our responsibility to keep your application up to date, and also remove all the security uh, uh, issues from it and make it available for you. But there are more than 6,400 plus build packs which are available into our community, which are not being completely managed by Heroku. Let's say you are creating a React app, there is a build pack available for it. If you are creating an Angular app, there is a build pack available for it. And all the different things, probably just go to elements.marketplace, and you'll find a lot of solutions available there itself. So the URL is element.heroku.com, and then you'll find a collection of these things already available there. All right. So that was about managing the third-party services or bringing some open source flexibility to your application development. But the next important thing which comes in is, in fact, this is how our app will look like, right? So congratulations, now if you have your first version of your app is ready, which has some dynos, some data services, and a couple of add-ons which is helping you whether to manage your application logs, whether to help you manage your application performance and everything. But then what about if you want to release another big feature in your app? What how you going to be doing it? And let's take the view from the audience, like what is the next step we're going to do to release a new feature into your existing application. Let's say you have an app which is already running well now, but all of a sudden you see that someone maybe from the business team, or maybe the end customers or users, they started demanding a new feature. Now how are you going to release this new feature into your existing application? And here are the options for you. Like, will you gonna directly make these changes into production app? Or you can't do these changes? Or will you gonna follow a DevOps process? Or are you gonna just create another version of your app, say it version 2? We'll wait for a few more minutes. I can see almost like 10 to 11 of you have already answered. That's good. As we can see, I guess many of you are following the latest trend, and I also mentioned this, right, that nowadays DevOps is or release management more like a necessity because you don't want to manage so many different versions of your application, right? Let's say, what about if there is another release request which will come in? How many versions you're gonna keep on creating, right? So this is the prime where you think that maybe I can embed CI/CD into my app and then I can extend it more further. So I guess most of you were correct. The answer is putting DevOps into this application lifecycle to to create another version of my app, that is app 2.0, right? And Heroku provides flows for you, and that is one of the reason, like Heroku is being known to provide best class development services to you. And there are so consider and that's where, like I said, Heroku really acts as a differentiator because it try to provide you best class experience, whether you are just a developer or a release manager or an operational manager, or maybe just an application administrator. And for everyone, you get a dashboard or a services which can help you deliver this continuous delivery without any dramas or everything. All right, and this is comprised of 6 things into it. There are Heroku pipelines using which you can organize your complete Heroku app. A group of Heroku apps, to be say, with us, which are sharing the same code base, and which are divided among different staging environments. So let's say you will be having a development stage where your application code will gonna post up. Once you're gonna review it, you can even test it with your review apps. Once you feel that this app is looking good, you can actually promote it to the next stage, whether that's a staging environment or a production environment. Very similar to how we do into Salesforce. Like we have, so actually the idea of Scratch.org came from Heroku only. So Heroku was having review apps, and then the idea of Scratch.org came in. Like, can we create an ephemeral Salesforce org for anyone where they can deploy their changes, they can test it, and once they feel comfortable, they can merge it to their UAT or developer sandbox. And that's what the whole idea of Heroku pipeline is. Like as soon as you're gonna make a change, a review app will gonna get created, and it also has a feature like CI integrated into it, so all the tests will gonna get execute. You can even decide, like if your texts are getting executed successfully, then only move it to the next version or the next staging environment, or otherwise don't promote it to the respective environment. So that can also be done, and this all things can be easily managed by Slack as well. So Heroku has a feature called ChatOps, which is like a Slack plugin, which can be installed on your Slacks, and from Slack you can just command Heroku to move this application from one stage to another just by a single conversation based bot itself. And you can integrate with your GitHub, so that all the manual or automatic deployment can be handled in a much more better fashion. All right, so I'm not speaking about this all things in much more detail because I know we have a limited time, and we also want to focus on the preparation for this architecture certification. But these are the variety of services which Heroku provides to you. All right, so
Durgesh,
yes. Uh-huh.
sorry to interrupt you. I have a quick question on this one. Can I go ahead with the question as of right now, or should we continue and the last question at the last? Because this is this topic only. That's the reason.
Sure, go ahead, Vikram.
Okay. Question is, see, I have application, a Salesforce application, and it required a Heroku application as well to execute the process, big process or something. Okay. Now, I don't want to use a CI/CD. There are multiple reasons, because we have, let's say, companies having a public, companies who are publicly in public domain mostly, and they don't go with the multiple release. They need a 1 year or something, or they 6 months, minimum 6 months to release with the new version of any application. Okay, so here comes a question. As you mentioned, CI/CD for the instead of maintaining a version of multiple products. Okay, now I have application and that is having a Heroku dependency. If one company is on specific 1.0 version and another company has moved to the latest version 2.0, so I don't have any option to keep multiple instead of multiple version to go with the CI/CD, because I need to keep two versions for these specific companies or such multiple companies where they are using multiple version of our product. Maybe not all companies can upgrade to their latest version. Right. So I don't think in this scenario there is a possibility of CI/CD, but to keep a multiple version, at least for 3 to 4 versions in this scenario as a backup. Otherwise, some company will fail, right? They will not able to get updates. You got me right? What I am meant to say?
Yeah, I got your point. But yeah, I got your point. And basically, what you're trying to say that if a company is trying to support multiple versions or multiple history of versions
See,
of their app.
we don't want to keep a multiple version, because that is a headache for us. We need to maintain what is source code for that version and what upgrade we need to give to the specific users. A one or two version is more than sufficient in case if required. Otherwise, CI/CD is the best approach. But at the same time, here we don't see a option to go with the CI/CD, because 4 to 5 companies, if we have 100 of companies or 200 of companies, and at least 1% of those companies or 2% of those companies are on the oldest version of a product. Of course, that will take. Yeah.
Okay, so let me take it this way, Vikram, and probably you might have. Are your code is still version controlled?
Yeah.
Right, and you probably would be managing multiple branches for these different versions, right?
As of now, we have one, but companies are having something where, I mean, we want to move the latest version to all the companies, but not all the companies are going to accept that one, because most of them are public.
Okay, so I will park your question for a time being with a very small answer, because they're really gonna not
sure,
to
that's the reason.
the part. But simply concluding, an approach, and again that's my view based on last 2 minutes of conversation with you, that probably you can still use CI/CD here with respective branches for your respective code versions or the respective version of your app. Why I'm saying so? Because someday if a big fix is need to be done, consider that's a security fix or a basic update into your application, maybe from the UI perspective. Let's say tomorrow your company got acquired by someone. I'm just giving an example, all right? Or that product has completely rebranded and you just wanted to change the logo of that application, which is being shown on all the UI, or just the name of an API, which is being shown on every places. Using the CI/CD process, you can still do this. Like you will just update into the respective the basic code base and just create pull from the respective branches, right? Only for that part. In this way, you can still support like a version 1.0, version 2.0, 3.0 with the respective branches to it. And using this version control process, still those standard things, those security things, or the basic part can be deployed to the respective application versions, right? But like I said, that's my view. We can just park it for now.
Sure.
But this is really very interesting question, and probably others might have, few of the other companies might have seen this challenge if they are managing multiple versions, right? All right, great. Now moving forward.
Sorry to interrupt you, Durgesh. Just a minute, Vikram. I think you got your answer of your question, but I will urge to each and everyone, like, please put your questions in chat window rather than like interrupting the session, like in the demo or whatever the Durgesh is explaining. So don't interrupt them, because if we are doing the question answer session, we will not achieve the time constraint. So please put your question, whatever the question you have, we will answer those questions at the end of the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sachin. And yeah, guys. So now talking about this, that what if you also want to integrate your Heroku applications with Salesforce Cloud as well? We seen that as a demo into last session, like how you can manage your data into Dynos and how you can access that data coming up from Salesforce objects, whether that's a standard object, custom object, or even a custom setting. right? So for this, you can actually use Heroku. But actually, my bad, I skipped to something. Uh, tell me, what are different integration options you have used or Salesforce has provided to integrate with any external system. All right. So this could be anything. Like my question to you is, let me simplify this more. Just a second here. A screen glitch. Can you name a few of the options which you have used or which Salesforce provides to create integration with any of the external system, whether that's Heroku or any other thing, like how you usually integrate with Salesforce? What are different solutions or approaches which are available? Great. There are RESTful web services which are available. There is Salesforce Connect using which you can bring data. There are REST APIs. There are SOAP APIs. Anything else? MuleSoft. Interesting. Heroku Connect. Great. I guess someone has got it from there. One thing which I'm looking for, like what is the better way to do asynchronous integrations with Salesforce?
Just remember our previous session, we have covered so many integration patterns.
Yeah. Streaming APIs, correct. All right, so guys keep on answering, but thank you for answering this all. This is really interesting. And there I was seeing the platform events and outbound messages. So if you see, the Salesforce provides a broad of different integration options. And if you keep Heroku at one side and Salesforce at another side, these are the different options using which you can, integrate with Salesforce. All right, so I will going to talk about few of them first. So sorry guys, yeah. The first one is API. All right. So you can use APIs to direct making calls from Excel system to Salesforce, or you can use Apex callouts when you want to call something from your Apex class or from inside Salesforce. Even there are like a better versions available, like outbound messages and everything when you want to push data from Salesforce to external system. Great. Now talking about other things, like some of you answered, there are platform events which can be used to publish something, whether it's a form of a CDC event or just invoking an event, or you can even call or integrate with this with having a commit D type of integration setting somewhere else, right? And then comes things like OData APIs or using Salesforce Connect so that you can expose data and can access it like a proxy inside Salesforce without even storing. Last session we also seen Heroku Connect, which is like a bi-directional sync. And there is one more thing which is available, like you can create Canvas apps into external systems, and then you can access them directly inside your Salesforce without keeping that code base here by following all the security and everything. Like you can follow the PubSub based approach there, and can create your Canvas applications inside Salesforce. All right. So this is the different integration options which are available. And like I said, Heroku Connect is one of them, which is a click-based approach. You don't need to even write a single line of code to integrate with your Salesforce. And even you can use it to connect with multiple Salesforce org as well. And we have seen, and this is what the results which customer has shared, that like after using Heroku Connect, they have seen that data synchronization has become at least 5 times more faster. We have customers who are using more than billions of records getting synced between Heroku and Postgres. Okay, and the best part is, this will not gonna use your API limits, your daily API limits. This will not be eating up your daily API limits. Okay, and that will become a whitelisted thing for you from the Heroku perspective. All right, so you can easily expose your data without even worry about using the API if you have Heroku Connect and Heroku in picture. All right. So in this way, as soon as you have Heroku Enterprise, you can actually plug in Heroku Connect and can bring this data from your Salesforce to Heroku Postgres, and can even expose this in a form of APIs to your end user, can run analytics on it using elements and everything. All right. And the last thing I want to conclude with is like Heroku also provides things like private spaces where you can, just come and plug in your hybrid cloud, other clouds as well, whether it's on-prem, a cloud service running on AWS or on GCP or an Azure or any place. You can have a private network connections with them, keeping security constraints and everything in place, and you can engage with those external services as well very easily. All right. So yeah, that was all the building blocks where we started with dynos, then we come up to data services, elements, uh, flows to manage the versions of your application into a full-fledged release management forms, and then Heroku Connect, and then the private space using which you can connect with other clouds as well. If I try to explain this into a into single architecture form where most of the use cases can be covered. See, in 99% of scenarios, what we see is there are customers or there are companies who have their system of engagement or their source of truth where their actual customer data is sitting, where they engage with their customers. Okay, and usually these companies or these organizations also have their own platforms where they drive the marketing journeys for them. All right. And definitely if this is an enterprise company, they're probably having a legacy of systems as well or third-party systems with them. But on the other hand, they have their own customers which are trying to access this all data in a form of a web application, a mobile application, maybe using the newly created IoT devices or like a partner management portal for them. All right. Heroku can act as a middleware in between, which can help you in connecting all of them in a seamless way. Whether you talk about connecting with Salesforce core platform, you have Heroku Connect available. If you want to connect with Marketing Cloud, you have Marketing Cloud Connector available, or you can even make API calls. If you want to connect with third party, there are multiple options which are available. Somebody answered about integration like MuleSoft. MuleSoft not only just help you to integrate with Salesforce, right? It's a great integration cloud which can help you to connect with any external system. And on the other side as well, the source and target could be anything. MuleSoft help you to transform and connect this data together easily, right? In fact, Heroku has an add-on available called Xplenty, which is like an ETL add-on, which is available to transform your data and bring it inside any of the respective data services. And once this data is here, you can actually write your application on language of your own choice. You can even deploy Docker here. You can choose the data services based on your application use case. If you're looking for a relational DB, you will go with Postgres or MySQL or something. If you're looking for in-session memory or a cache memory, probably go with Redis. Or maybe you can plug in Kafka if you're driving event-driven solutions, right? And then this application can be exposed in different forms. This can be act as a mobile backend as a service, or just an API, which is being integrated with those IoT systems or those partner portals or everything, right? And like I said, this can be paired with your Amazon services or can have a VPN connections with your other clouds or other on-prem based services as well. All right. So consider if you're going to think in this perspective, you can always design or put Heroku as a PaaS platform in between, which can help you to create almost any type of application. All right. And if you are looking for more architecture patterns, this is the URL, and probably post session you'll get the slide deck, and from there you will be able to access the links as well. There's all links are clickable, but otherwise just go and search for Heroku architecture, Salesforce Heroku architecture on Google, and probably this is the first site which will come in place. Okay, this all are like some of the videos which are available for you with a complete walkthrough as well as a PDF attached to it, from where you can see like how this architecture can be designed. All right, so this is all for those who are looking for something from architecture patterns perspective, like how Heroku can be used for different approaches, whether that's just for offloading a heavy compute or designing a scalable web application or building a modern web app which has multiple things coming up in it, or a combination of all of them together, or just data integration between multiple systems. All right, so these patterns are available there. Now, talking about Heroku architecture, let's have a quick poll. And I would like to know, like, are you planning to appear for a Salesforce Heroku Architect Designer certification soon? Um, and if yes, like in how many days are you planning to go for it? Like, are you planning to appear it into next 45 days or haven't decided it yet? Or feel free to answer that if you're not interested. Yeah, maybe this is not your cup of tea. You can just go and say, no, not interested right now. Awesome. So you can keep on answering, but those who are interested and planning to appear for it, let me quickly, cover some of the important parts here, based on my understanding, my things. So here's a quick guide to this. So this is the exam guide. I took it from the exam guide itself. Basically, these are the six sections in which your exam curriculum is being divided, or you can say on the areas where you need to focus, starting from Heroku platform, then the data, security, Heroku Enterprise, architecting applications, and integration. If you want to know more, you can just go on trailhead.salesforce.com and can explore the exam guide. You will get a much more detail about it. But those are the key points which you need to keep in mind. Talking about the next thing, what you should know and what is not expected from you. So first and foremost, let me cover that you don't need to be a Salesforce Lightning expert to go for a Heroku Architect Designer certification. All right. So even if you're just a Salesforce admin, you don't know Apex, but you are a full stack developer, you have developed using Java, Node.js, you have used these data services like Redis, Postgres into your production ready applications. Definitely you can go for the cert. All right. What you need to know is you need to know like how you can build and deploy your application on Heroku platform. What are the different ways to deploy application on Heroku platform, and what type of applications can be deployed as well. All right. How you can architect your solution using the different data services which Heroku provides, right? And which data services you're probably going to use when. All right. What is the difference between the private space and the common runtime, and when you'll go for which one? What is Heroku Shield, and when I will going to be using it? How Apache Kafka is being used? What is the 12-factor methodology? And also how you can integrate Heroku with Salesforce applications. All right. And again, this is completely from the integration perspective. You don't need to again know about things like Lightning Web Components, Apex, and everything. But yeah, we also need to be aware that how you can design a scalable solution. All right. So you're gonna get 60 questions if you're going for exam. These all are like multiple choice. Some of them would be having multiple select as well into it. You're gonna get around 105 minutes to answer it. But keep in mind, this is a 72% passing score type of examination. So yeah, you need to be very sure if you're going for it. Like the passing score percentage is high here. All right. And the recommendation is at least if you have at least 2 years of experience working on Heroku apps, or even if not so, you need to be have a confident, very much confident when you're speaking about Heroku. All right. And these are my 2 cents. I appeared for this exam in February, and this is what I have experienced. And just I thought it would be happy to share with the community group here. So first thing in mind, you need to prepare accordingly, because this is an architect level of cert. Okay, it's not a basic cert. You need to be aware about the bigger picture, the bigger story which will come in. All right. You need to have a good knowledge about the capabilities of Heroku, especially where Heroku becomes a differentiator. When I mean this, like why you should use Heroku versus any other cloud platform, or building this application on-prem, why you'll go for Heroku. So those are the things you need to have a good knowledge about, or those things should be top of your mind. Also, what the key points you need to keep in mind when you are designing a enterprise app on this platform. So these things need to be you need to be aware about. Just to add, there will be no questions around any syntax or commands which you usually use to deploy your app on Heroku, because again, like I said, this is an architect level of cert, not a developer cert. But there definitely would be questions around choosing the right data services or a right language framework when you're going for a respective use case. Again, so you're not going to get a very deep question on, what this command would be look like in Node.js or Java. All right. But you're probably going to get a question there saying, why I will use something like a Node.js for this particular use case, or why I will go for Java, because each framework has their own benefits. All right. Now, and especially for data services, because um, from the perspective like Heroku provide 3 different data services, what are the respective use cases for them? Okay. Last couple of things quickly want to share with you before moving to the next point. But please read all the question mindfully if you're going for this cert. There could be a hidden hint which is there in the question itself, and try to think from a perspective that why they have put that constraint in there. I mean, why that line is there in that question. Maybe your answer will be chosen accordingly in from that perspective. Okay. Or you might gonna find 3 answers probably correct, but maybe because of that one constraint, you'll go and choose the best as one of them. All right. So think from an architect mindset and try to find the hidden hints which will be there in the question itself. Okay. Here are the important topics based on my learnings. Like there will be questions on different Dino plans which are there, different Dino types which are there. Heroku supports different type of processes and which can be declared to proc file. I mean, I'm not going to much more deep, and I will share like resources from where you can learn it. But yeah, these are the important topics from a platform perspective you'd be aware about, like how the load are get distributed by the Heroku load balancer and runtime, how the logging is being managed, what is the Logplex framework Heroku supports, and from a database perspective or data services perspective, what are the different use cases which are there for Postgres, Redis, or Kafka, and what are the extra feature Postgres provides on top of the open source Postgres database. All right. From security perspective, when you should go for a VPC peering or a VPN connection, how the load testing can be done, what are the things which you need to consider when you're having a SSL connection with Heroku, and what are the different plans or solutions available for you, etc. Right? Heroku Enterprise is the biggest set, probably, yeah. So, and that covers almost like 28 to 30%. And you'll get questions around private spaces. You'll get questions around internal routing, DNS services, why Shield would be used. I mean, on which particular customer use case I will go for Shield. All right. And what are the constraints to it? How the SSO can be done, how I can manage my team roles when I have a Heroku team. All right. And what are the different app permissions I can give or remove? So these are the things. And now from the architecting application perspective, a long time back, Heroku itself came up with this 12-factor methodology. And then this was adopted by almost every cloud service to design scalable applications which can run into a container-based solutions. All right. So this is a well-known thing and was written by one of the Heroku co-founder. So you need to aware about all those 12 factors, because those are not only required from a certification perspective, but also required if you're trying to design a scalable application on Heroku. All right. And lastly, from the integration part, you need to aware about Heroku Connect, what algorithms Heroku Connect can use or support, how you can do integration with Salesforce, what are the few limits of Heroku Connect which you have to keep in mind. All right. So the are things, and here are a collection of references which are available for you. I also put some interesting blogs from our Trailblazer community where people have mentioned and shared their view on it. And let me ask one more, and here it goes. Just a second. Like, would you be interested in joining a FastPath workshop to learn and prepare for this certification? And feel free to say yes and no. It's up to you.
Wow, Durgesh, 90% are interested. So we should have some more talk for this.
Durgesh, we can't listen, see,
Uh,
we can't hear your voice.
Okay, I guess somebody muted us, but is I'm audible now?
Yeah, you can be audible.
Okay. All right. So I'm already running a Heroku Academy program for all the partners. And just to add, like this is a partner exclusive workshop which I'm running. And I just completed the first part of it. If you're interested, you can join the second part where I will be focusing on, the certification preparation. Just to quickly explain about it, like what Heroku Academy is all about. And this is free for every Salesforce partner. You don't need to pay or do anything or make any payment for it. But basically, this is a partner exclusive, so you need to be a Salesforce partner to attend it. Now, explaining about this is a complete journey to help you become an Heroku expert. And I have divided this into like two major sections. And like I said, the first one is already done, where we run virtual hands-on workshop. Um, and you can access those resources. I will share the link as well with you in a few minutes. And the second one, which we are starting soon, is Heroku Architect Designer. When I say soon, this is actually next week itself. So yeah, this is a complete breakdown. Like this was the 4 days workshop we did, divided in between 2 weeks, and then in the upcoming week, starting from first week of September, we're gonna be like running a 3 days session. Okay, again 2 hours each. Just a second, let me plug in my charger here. I guess otherwise I'm gonna lose the juice. Okay. Yeah, so this is a 3 days workshop, and then the goal is to help you enable on Heroku and try to help you at every step, right from the beginner to the architect level with this. And talking about this, I will not be covering a lot of hands-on in the upcoming part because we already did in the last session. But this is completely focused on helping you prepare on all those important topics for this certification. And this is how the breakdown of this is. Like we have first session on 1st of September, then on 3rd, and then on 8th. That is on Tuesday, Thursday, and the next Tuesday itself. And then you can go and prepare for or even appear for the certification as well. And here's the course breakdown where I will cover all the important points which you need to be aware about for each of these respective topics. All right, so you'll get the access to the slides so that you can go through them in detail. In fact, just to share, this is the feedback from the last iteration which I run, and everyone in the community actually liked the content, and this really helped them a lot, right? From different partners from different group, some of the internal team members of mine, our trailblazer leaders and MVPs like Gaurav, like he has gone through it, and trust me, guys, this is a bit of a tough cert as compared to others, and you need to be well aware about the Heroku things before going for it. So Gaurav did it and he really liked the content and find my content helpful. So just want to share with everyone, if you're also interested, this is a link for a guide which you can refer. Let me share the URL here in the chat window. All right, you can just go and check this document. This is a one-stop Quip doc where I have listed down all the things which are required or which will help you to learn Heroku right from the basics. Maybe I have put a lot of exercises in it. So anybody who is a full stack developer or have worked on even the partial part of Node.js or something, they can really find this helpful. And with this, let's quickly summarize and we'll jump to the quiz part. So what we discussed and seen today is like, what are the things you need to design your Heroku application and how then they can be used to scale your application further. All right. So we've seen about Heroku Dynos and data services. We've seen about Heroku elements. We've seen about Heroku flows and DevOps. We also seen, like how Heroku Connect can be plugged in between Salesforce and Heroku. Also, what are the different basic architecture patterns which are there and where you can access them, just the reference part of it. I also covered the preparation guide, like maybe this would be helpful for you, for anyone who is going to appear for this, and also shared about Heroku Academy. If you're interested, I will share the registration link as well, and you can join this. But now let's have a quiz. And you don't need to go anywhere else, but I will just, let me go here, and let's see who all are already here on this. So you just use the same and just click on the heart so that we can track like how many of you have already on this page. All right, so we can see 8 of you are already here. Those who have recently joined, you can just go to www.menti.com and then just type this code here, or otherwise you can just scan this, you can just scan this QR code here. Just 2 simple ways. I will just keep on switching between 2 of them, and let's just give everyone a couple of minutes. In the meantime, others are joining. Om, would you like to add anything for the quiz? Like, are we sponsoring anything for them?
Yes, thank you, Brigesh. Yes, so we have 3 swags. So the swag is as usual in our all three like previous series. That is your Trailblazer book written by Mr. Mark Benioff, and then two Trailblazer will also receive some rice swag, custom swag, I should say.
Awesome.
And thank you everyone. Like you have amazing journey last for stage Heroku, and looking forward to see you in the Heroku Academy sessions for explore more and learn more together. Yes, you can see 13 people are here. Please join.
Fantastic. So others who are facing any challenge, just let me know on the code window. But the chat window. But yeah, the code here is 834224. You probably should be able to see here on the screen. Let me highlight it for you. Like this is the code. So you can just go to www.menti.com and you can use the code 834224, or you can just scan this QR code.
I also texted you in chat window.
Yeah. All right. So let me know when we can start, or should we wait for more members to join?
If anyone facing issue, please let us know so we can wait for minutes.
Just a second, I guess something has. All right, I guess we can start now. Now, another point which I want to highlight here is, please, on the next screen, please provide your actual full name while you would be going for the quiz. If you're gonna provide some nicknames of yours, probably you'll be disqualified. So if you're interested to actively participate in this quiz, please use your actual full name. That will help us to decide who is the winner, or who are the top 3 winners in the leaderboard. All right. So, okay, I will start now. I can see nobody is facing any challenges because we are not seeing any comments on the chat window. So we'll push on from here. So I'll just wait for everyone to join. Please provide your names, and like I said, please use a proper name.
Wow, what a graphic.
Yeah. I guess Menti automatically assigns some random emojis to all the person. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so we can see 23 already are here. I'll just wait for a few seconds and then we'll continue from here. All right. And like I said, please use a proper name. I hope you all have used a proper name itself. Let's jump to the first question. All right. So let me start. Starting here, and the first question will come in. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Okay, so yeah, already covered topic. Please see carefully. Heroku Dino containers run on which operating system? An option is on your screen. You already see Linux, Ubuntu, Unix, and MS-DOS. We have 15 seconds. So please respond. Second only. So hands up. And okay, so here I think you got confused. Answer is Ubuntu. So the Heroku Dino containers run on Ubuntu operating system. So of course, this question is learning first. Okay, so please go for next question, please. And yeah, before I did that, see the leaderboard here and Vivek, Ketan, Subhas, yeah, well, good playing.
Awesome. A very small gap in all of them. I guess all of them
Yes,
answered very quickly.
very
Great. Good
quickly,
to
right?
know. Let's move to the next one.
And no worry if you are not here, just you need to give answer quickly and correct. So now something from the, for which the following database use case, we need to go for third party add-on service. See the options carefully and you can figure it out. Remember we discussed like add-ons provided by Heroku, it can be provided by a third party. For the database use cases. And yes, 6 people have given correct answer. It is file-based data storage. When we go for file-based data storage, then we use the add-ons by third-party providers. Okay, let's see the scoreboard now.
Yeah, but just to add, like, I guess probably few of you have got confused here. So
Yes, please.
see, we have Postgres available as a relational DB. We have Kafka available as a streaming service. We have Redis available as a key value data store. Remember, I was sharing about each of them, but we don't have any out of the box service available for file based data storage. And that's where I mentioned you, right, that you need to put your file somewhere else into external system. And that's where you can have something like a S3 bucket or FTP service associated as a service into your application. So those who answered file based, I guess they got it, they identified it. But for relational, we already have Postgres, so you don't need to go for a third party. Yes, you can, but the question is more like, you know, where you must have to go for a third party add-on. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, that's okay. Let's move to the next thing.
Okay, so Vivek had some lead. Then yeah, everyone playing well.
Awesome.
Please
Let's
go
move to
ahead.
the next question.
Answer fast to get more points. Using what? You can extend your application functionality by adding fully managed cloud services in your apps. Just think we have discussed it 2 or 3 times. If you have been in our sessions, like in all sessions, including today as well. At the same time, we have 15 seconds, but if you are giving answer quickly, then you have more points. Okay, let's see the correct answer. Yes, it's add-ons. So focus on the application logic, and other add-ons will take care for other things. Yeah. See the scoreboard?
Yeah. So basically, yes. So yeah, the buttons are for open source code deployment. Build packs are for framework usage, which is not out of the box available by Salesforce or Heroku. And Apps it doesn't it doesn't count. It is for core Salesforce platform, not for Heroku. In Heroku, we have elements.heroku.com, right? That's what we share. So the correct answer are add-ons. Yeah. So let's see the leaderboard, like Om said. And this time, Vivek has answered it the first, and he has moved to the second one. Vivek is still leading with a big gap. You still have more questions, and here
Yes.
comes the next one.
Okay. Yes. Code base. So what we use so that we can organize a group of Heroku apps sharing the same code base into the multiple environment. We had a very good discussion today. Yes, we have 10, 11 seconds. Let's see how we are giving answer. Okay, yeah, that's fine. 7 people has given correct answer. That was Heroku pipelines, so that we can share same code base to multiple apps, multiple environments.
Correct.
Anything you want to add? Yeah, please.
Yeah. So why Heroku CI would not be right answer? Because Heroku CI is more for running the test cases. Okay. So continuous integration always means, supporting your application with respective test utilities into it, so that you can be sure that if you're automating that code transformation from a development to the staging or production, you'd be sure that the test cases are already completed and everything. All right, so that's what happens even when you push code to production environment in Salesforce as well, right? Heroku CI is similar, right? It basically run the test cases, so that's why it's not a right answer. Heroku ChatOps, I guess I shared it. It's an integration with Slack. It's a Slack add-on. Now talking about release management, it's more of a wider term. We was looking for a more closer answer, and Heroku pipelines were the answer for it. All right, so let's see who is leading this sign. And I guess Jagdeep has answered it first, and then Saranya. And this really helped them to jump up in the ladder. All right, leaderboard is changing a bit. Let's see what happens in the next question.
Reminder, answer fast.
Correct.
So how many? That's counting. I can see one answer is clearly visible to you, but still, let's see. It's fun game for learning. How many open source build packs we have currently on Heroku Marketplace? Build packs, already it's taken care for our source code compilation during deployment and configuring the runtime environments. So let's see. Yeah, 4 people have given correct answer. And it seems people got confused between different terms. So yeah, we have 64 plus, that's 400 plus build packs.
Yeah. So I guess if you have noticed the slides properly, I actually mentioned it at one place, and just to bring it in front of you. Yeah, this was a slide where I explained that we have like 6,400 plus build packs, 5,000 plus open source buttons, and then 175 plus add-ons. Maybe you might have missed that. All right, no issues. Let's see what is there on leaderboard.
And always remember, when we say official supported, means Heroku build packs, then we have for 8 language. Right, Durgesh?
Yes.
Yes. And for open source, we have 6400 plus. Yeah, Vivek.
Okay,
And
so I guess,
Ketan given very good competition. Nice.
yeah, so Ketan just jumped with this one question, and I guess others can also do the same. So yeah, please, focus and try to answer at the earliest, and probably you will be, you will be also coming up in the leaderboard. So I will bring the next question. I guess this is question number 6, I guess. Yeah.
I should say easy options. Let's see carefully. And if you have attended our previous session and also today's session, you can easily figure it out. Which of the following object can't be synced using Heroku Connect? Read it carefully and you know it. How to minimize, like how to shortlist the correct answer. And Durgesh, what I experienced earlier, sometimes it happens you are not too familiar with the question, but while looking on the answer, you can figure it out the option, right?
Definitely.
In few
Yes.
cases.
Yeah. I guess we are doing it right from the school time itself, right? We really, like, when you don't know the question, you just go with the answers first and check, like, maybe this is the right match. Yeah. So I guess most of you have answered it correctly. And yes, it is attachment. Account is a standard object, so you can definitely sync it. And that's what I was sharing. Like anything, whether it's a standard object, custom setting can be synced, except any of the file type of data or object inside Salesforce. So Salesforce files, content documents, attachments, they can't be synced. All right, so thank you. Let's see what is there on the leaderboard now.
Yes.
This time Saranya has given it first.
Wow, well,
But
nice.
yeah, the 3 are still leading on the leaderboard. Umang is definitely competing. So let's wait.
Yeah.
We have 4 more questions for you.
And always keep in mind, this game is, that's something where we are at least learning, or yeah, we are enjoying the fun quiz, like moving on the leaderboard, scoring. Yeah, which is the wrong statement.
So
So
keep in
we
mind,
have
this is more for a wrong statement, not the correct one. Okay. Yeah.
from these options.
Yes.
We had also dedicated, session for Heroku Connect earlier. Yeah, last day, yes, we did it together.
Yes.
And yeah, so today also we discussed something. Please see carefully. Okay, so option is 6. Not sure why you missed. I guess today explained very well that one of the cool thing when we use Heroku Connect, then we don't need to worry for Salesforce API limits. It's whitelisted. It's how Heroku Connect is our own products, of course, and it's whitelisted. That is one of the highlighted feature of the Heroku Connect, right, Brigesh?
Yes.
Okay. No worry. Let's go next question. Or can you add something?
Yeah. So those who answer, actually, let me go back. Those who answered it can't scale. Yeah, I guess even this is, yeah, my bad. Maybe guys, maybe this is also a right can be considered. Yeah, it should be. It can scale for. It can scale for more than million records. Apologies,
It can be
maybe
still.
my bad.
No.
Yeah.
I think we have asking which is wrong statement, so it
Yeah.
can't scale for more than scales. Okay. Wrong statement.
Yeah. Sorry guys. My bad. Maybe I will keep things.
No worries. So learning is Heroku Connect can scale our millions of record. So
Yes. All right. So Vivek is still leading, and Ketan and Nikki next. Yeah. Let's see the next one. Probably this is the easy
Past
one.
answer.
Yeah.
I'm expecting more current answers for this question
Me too, Sushant. I hope so.
because
Fantastic. I guess those who answer 65, this is 72, a bit higher. Yeah, so you need to prepare accordingly. But yeah, I guess most of you have answered it correctly. Let's see who has answered it at the first. Uh, so we have almost everyone. Vicky answered it first with just a one number gap with Umang, but yeah, there's the leaderboard. And Vivek, Ketan, and Vicky, you all are letting rest. This is really still a very great learning for everyone. At least to know getting the basics out of Heroku. So let me jump to the next question now. And this is second last question probably. Yeah, which of this following language can't be deployed on Heroku?
I'm expecting more correct answer this time again.
Yeah.
Okay, Python, we can deploy the Python code. Okay. So here Apex, we write Apex in our Salesforce platform. Apex is not something open source which we can be developed on other, platform. So option is, the correct answer is Apex.
Yeah.
Some more details, please.
Yeah, so see, this Java, Python, Node.js, these are all like modern frameworks. And remember, I'm keep on saying this like a full stack developer, he can build application on this. Whether you're building app on Java, Node.js, or anything that can be deployed on Heroku. When I say anything, it's definitely like Python, Go, Clojure, Scala, or in fact React, Angular, anything, any in that particular framework or language can be deployed and can run on Heroku. But why not Apex? Because see, Apex is being designed to run inside Salesforce. And why inside Salesforce? Because it's a multi-tenant platform. The core Salesforce platform itself is right. So that's why you can't deploy Apex on Heroku, and probably will not be able to run it properly there. But yeah, that's why the correct answer was Apex. Like you can't deploy Apex. It's also not open source, like Om mentioned. That is another reason for it. So let's see who six has answered it correctly. So I guess now Ketan has started jumping up and the gap between both of you is very less. Others are also those who have given the right answers. I guess they also got up in the ladder and then joining, moving up into the leaderboard. Now, only the last question with to all of you, and I have last chance for you to, and I guess this is more easy if you have focus on the slides. Again, I just keep it as for fun. But yeah, let's see who answered it quickest and the correct. Maybe like a bonus point for all of you.
Hmm. 100% correct answer this time. Expecting, yeah, at least 9 people have given correct answer. It's from September.
Awesome. So yeah, this
Link
is
is
starting
in
of
chat
1st of
window.
September. And if you are looking for registering for this, I just shared the registration link as well. You can use it. And Vicky has jumped up in the ladder and become the second, and Saranya third. And congratulations, Vivek. for winning this quiz.
Thank you everyone for playing. Hope you all enjoyed with us.
All right.
And
I'll
never mind it.
uh-huh.
Yeah, please.
Just take a few minutes and please provide your feedback as well to us. Like, if you like today's session, was it valuable for you? And feel free to answer accordingly. And would you be interested in joining or would you be interested in even sharing this with your colleagues? You just rate your feedback. I will keep this screen open. And yeah, over to you. You were saying something. Sorry for interrupting in between.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to add the same thing. Never mind, in quiz, some question had some typos. So yeah, and more important thing, as just Durgesh shared with us, like, you are here and some of your colleagues who might be interested for explore more, learn more, you can help them, right? That's why we encourage you, okay, go ahead, share on social media. If you're not on social media, maybe you're not feeling much engaged there, your personal choice, then also feel free to share in private chat window if your colleague is looking into, because we can help so many more people with sharing our words with them, right? So yeah, that's why I strongly recommend everyone.
Yeah. And like I said, please use your official email addresses to register for this, because this is a partner exclusive workshop. And the name of these 3 winners I will share with you, Vishal, just in a few minutes. But just a second. Yeah, I guess here are the names. We have Vivek, Vicky, and Saranya. I can just share the screenshot and you can probably find it from the blur side. But yeah, this is. Can I post it here? No, I guess not. But anyways, I will keep the screen open so that you can get it. But yeah, the 3 winners are Vivek and Vicky and Saranya.
So Vishal or Sushant, can you please add something for them, like how they can claim the prize? Swag, I should say. Sushant, you want to mute Vishal? Okay, so as per my previous learning, you just need to share, your, I should say, shipping address to the organizer's email address. That's something New Delhi Developers Group, and then we will ship the swag. So okay, yeah, Vishal is going to say, Vishal, I texted the details in chat window already. Awesome.
Hi, Om.
Yeah, hi Vishal.
Yeah, so we are getting the email address of first 3 winners, and
Okay.
we will email them. And when we get the details, I will forward to you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining us. And yeah, I will get.
All right. So
Something?
yeah, thanks everyone for joining the session. Like I said, I hope this session would be helpful for you. I hope you at least learned something new. Looking forward to connect with you on the upcoming sessions in Trailblazer community, or into Heroku Academy, or maybe into Impact Sales for Saturday. So thank you from all of us. And Sushant and Vishal, if you want to just close this, feel free to take it over. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Durgesh, for such an awesome session. Thank you so much, Om, for an amazing series.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point to add. Like, definitely, thanks to Om for taking this initiative and bringing this part of the platform in front of you and sharing this all about. Yeah, that's definitely an amazing series. Happened in last 4 Saturdays. We covered a lot of things from Heroku perspective. So yeah, shout outs to you, Om.
Yeah.
And others, please feel
No,
free to tag Om on Twitter and just share your feedback to him.
Thank you very much, Durgesh, for taking it forward. And today was, of course, one of the most learning session for me as well. Thank you very much. And Developers Group, thank you for having us here. So it's our pleasure. And of course, we keep joining your other session as well. So, Sushant, Vishal, you want to share some highlights for our upcoming series with like our participants, like next Salesforce series? Anything you have info? Yeah, please take it forward.
Sushant, would you like to continue?
Sushant, I think he's on mute. Maybe a
Sure, sure.
network
Thank you so
issue.
much, Vishal. And
Sushant, your voice is breaking, I think.
am I audible?
Now you are audible.
Yes, you are audible now, Sushant.
I think Sushant is
No,
facing some
he,
technical glitches, I think.
Yeah. And
Okay, awesome.
by the way,
Okay.
guys,
Yeah, so,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, Sushant.
go
Vishal, can you take it forward? I think Sushant has network issue. Maybe
Okay.
he need to switch the network. Let me text him. He can switch the network and it will go okay.
Yeah, no
Yes.
problem in
sorry.
that.
Go ahead,
So,
Vishal.
yeah, so we are going to start a new upcoming series in Impact Salesforce Saturday, which is a D2C series, which we are going to start from 5th of September and it will run till 19th of September, from 5th September to 19th September, which will be taken care by the Rupesh Bhatia sir. So this is our next upcoming series.
So many of you are already familiar about developer to consultant series, and if not, then please come join and learn how can you develop your consulting mindset and many more modules we have already familiar. As many of you are familiar, previously we had also communication workshop from the D2C. So yeah, many more surprises in upcoming Impact Salesforce Saturday series. So please go ahead
Fantastic.
and share with your friends as well.
Fantastic. And I guess one thing we probably missed is taking few of the questions from the Q&A panel. I literally
Oh,
missed it.
yes.
Yeah. So sorry
Now,
for taking some more time of your, but let me quickly go through those questions. I hope Vikram is still there on the call
yeah.
because he asked a couple of questions. So let me quickly share it with everyone. So firstly, there is a question from Vijay. Like for Salesforce, we have single sign-on enabled. How do we enable it on Heroku for the web application hosted? Okay, so Vijay, so single sign-on is for Salesforce users, right? Who are whether internal or external, but usually mostly internal part of the of the company, and we have single sign-on available for them. In the same way, we do have single sign-on available for Heroku as well, but those are for the developers or the internal team members who are managing that application. Now, now, the based on the question which you have asked, right, that what about those who are accessing this application as an end user or customer? So for them, like there are add-ons available inside Marketplace called Auth0 and also few more things. Even you can, or you can create your own custom authentication layer in front of it. But there is no out-of-the-box service provided by Heroku. The reason is it's a platform, right? You can design your application as per your need. You might be want to create a public app which can be accessed from anywhere, or it can be just a limited app for the internal employees. But for all this, you need to manage or create this authentication layer on yourself. Okay. Next question from Vikram: how to auto scale the worker dynos as per the incoming load? So the worker dynos can't be scaled or scaled down automatically. They are not auto scalable, and there is a reason for it. But it's like this, that you can provide some of the worker dynos available, or there is a third party add-on which is available, which can help you to do it. All right. So there are two different approaches. Whether you can keep you can just assign 5 worker dynos into your proc file. And since worker dynos only get kicked off when your background process is running, all right, so it will start, it will execute, and it will end up. So that worker dyno will not going to be consuming your total usage of a month, only running for the limited amount of time. So seeing that, probably autoscale is not even required for worker dyno. You can give a bigger number, you can assign a bigger number, and all those dynos can be used when you're going to see a very high scale background processes coming up all of a sudden. When I say high scale, like high volume, actually, to be more better. Another question from him is, can we automate a process to send email to group if any of the add-on is not working? Do we have such standard features in Heroku? See, trust as a Salesforce company is definitely one of the very important thing. So that's why you're probably seeing a very limited number of add-ons available there, and they all need to go through a process. So whenever a particular add-on or a service will be in a in a maintenance period, you'll definitely gonna get a notification from them very earlier. uh, and you can provide the respective email addresses where you want to get all those notifications. So yeah, you will get notified if something like that is happening. Okay. Another question from Rahul Gupta. uh, I guess it's more of a comment. A question from Ketan, like what is the difference between CI/CD of Copado and Heroku? See, Copado CI/CD process is purely designed for your Salesforce applications. Okay, and when you're using Heroku flows, these are for your this modern applications which are other than your applications are running on Salesforce, which means your applications designed in full stack form using Python or any other open modern languages. All right. So yeah, although yes, many of them use the similar things behind the scenes. And like I said, like Bitbucket followed Heroku Pipeline's approach. In fact, Salesforce internally followed the approach which Heroku Pipeline were having to bring up something like a Scratch org, similar to review apps. And you can even use Heroku pipelines for your Salesforce CI/CD process. So these all things are possible, but why they're different? Because Copado is designed for Salesforce and Heroku is designed for your modern applications other than what is in Salesforce. All right. So let me see if we have any other questions available. And there is one more question which you can see. What is the difference between SSO and login with Salesforce use case? Okay. Again, like I said, right? If you want to, put Salesforce identity in place in the front of your modern applications, yes, you can definitely implement SSO there. And but again, that would be custom implementation above this. You don't get anything out of the box. But saying this, yes, this all is possible. If either you're using Okta or Salesforce identity or Auth0, this all authentication can be created or can be customized inside your applications. Another interesting question from Vikram: what is the future of Heroku if Salesforce is coming up with functions? Yeah, it's new. It is new, but in future, what will be the case? Okay, this is a very interesting question, and I'm really seeing this many times into few of my sessions and few of my engagements with partners and customers. See, if you have seen Salesforce functions and their and the announcements of it, it is Salesforce function is going to be running on a serverless platform. You can consider it very similar like a Lambda, like Azure functions, like GCP functions, which means these are like fast services. And when I say fast, it is like functions available as a service. Okay. But when you talk about Heroku, it's a PaaS platform where you can actually host your application and can run your application for a longer time. So yes, Salesforce function can really take all of those use cases where we are using Heroku right now to offload the heavy compute part. But when you actually want to run a customer facing application, when you want to run an employee facing application as well, probably in those scenarios, still I would say Heroku would be relevant. All right. And yes, I mean, in fact, consider this as a great option now available inside the platform itself. I guess Vikram is asking for. Yeah, you can talk about that scenario. Just unmute yourself and maybe you can speak about your scenario. And others, again, I guess we don't see any other question coming from others. So thank you for joining, and please do join the next session from Rupesh, which would be for D2C. I hope you're gonna learn a lot from there as well.
Durgesh, I just got one question in private window. One of our participants is asking, do you have any provision for any certification voucher eligibility in upcoming Heroku Academy series? Something for certification vouchers? Do you have any info?
Okay. Frankly speaking, and saying it all loud, I don't have any voucher available with me, but we'll see if you're gonna perform very well in the academy series, and if you're a part of a partner organization, and if your respective partner organization, PAM will sponsor a voucher for you. Probably we can help you there. But saying this, I can't guarantee. And just to be very clear, like I don't have any voucher available with me, but if you're going to perform really well, I can recommend your name to a respective partner account manager of your account and of your partner account. And then from there, we can definitely try to help you out. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other question which you're seeing, Om?
No, I see only Vikram is like interested to share something scenarios.
Yeah, sure, Vikram. Yeah, you can actually, or let me unmute you.
Okay.
Yeah, just, yes, Vikram.
I have seen the application mostly need a multi-threading part when we process a huge data. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that part can be easily developed as I go through multiple sessions of functions. If we have a function in a system, I mean, upcoming function, if we write that one in a particular way, then we don't have to create a thread, and Salesforce will take care of all this stuff. We need to create a request. The instance will be getting created internally. Yeah, but right now, when we do any huge processing in our Heroku side, we need to have that threading processing. We need to write all kind of stuff there to make sure the thread process correctly. So this is one of the benefit if we go with the functions later stage. If threading is a headache for any app, what we are going to develop on Heroku.
Correct. But just to add, I mean, and this is for everyone, like who are probably not so much aware about, FAS or PAS or everything, right? So see, there is always debate when you go and check, like, is FAS the best platform? Is it overwriting every PAS services? But you're gonna see and hear about that, many times you still have a PAS use cases. So based on the use case which you shared, definitely that can be a very good use case for Salesforce functions, and can run on Salesforce functions very easily, and it will really gonna reduce the efforts you need to take for creating a dyno and even putting a respective data services to it, configuring Heroku Connect. Even that all thing will gonna get removed from there. All right, but saying this, let's say if you're still looking for a synchronous approach, right? So Salesforce function will gonna work on a asynchronous approach. All right, so you're gonna offload that process in a background, and you will get the results later. It will get populated. But what if you're looking for something which is not run into a synchronous approach, right? So I'll just gonna push data to Heroku. I will wait for my data coming back. In that case, maybe a platform as a service would be more better. All right. But again, saying this, thanks for sharing this use case. Maybe others might have find this useful, that why Salesforce function can be used in this type of scenarios where I have a very complex algorithm or a process which is need to be run on a data. All right. And then how I can use it to put it on my functions itself and can execute it. Although based on the latest announcement in TDX, we probably can see it coming up next year, and a private pilot is going on for it, as per my information. Yeah.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you mentioned there is an add-on which will help to notify in case if there is a malfunctioning or if the add-on is gone down. Mm-hmm. So this happened recently with us on production. Somehow one of our MQ messaging queue and one time another sandbox Heroku side, we got MongoDB.
Okay.
Somehow the connection was not working there. Suddenly, it's not like it was not working. A few minutes back it was working, suddenly it stopped getting connected to the MongoDB. Okay, I know MongoDB, one of the, this one is going down on November or something, but I thought maybe some reason, maybe some maintenance, but there was nothing like that. And just we restarted the server and it worked fine. So we need to identify what are the add-ons which we can use to notify admins in case there is a failure of a specific add-on. So a third-party add-on which will look after all the add-ons, working condition of all add-ons, and they will notify to the admins. One of saying this add-on is not working or down. This is my requirement as of now.
All right. So, okay. So coming to that, okay. So Vikram, the top of the thing which is coming out of mind right now is definitely you can use something like Paper Trail, and since it would be tracking all of your logs, you can trigger email messages if some service is going down. All right. So as soon as that service will be going down, you're definitely gonna see a message coming up inside your logs, a failure message or something, right? And you can trigger it and can send notifications to everyone. And same can be applied with an app like or add-on like New Relic or Liberato or anything which tracks your application performance, right? So there are utilities available in these add-ons which can help you to notify if something is breaking into your application. I'm not saying this is just for that add-on, but this will work for the complete application. But anyways, you can filter down your logs accordingly. Okay, so the names for the add-ons are for the logging purpose. There is Paper Trail, which can be used to send even emails as well for the respective ones. And for the APMs, that is application performing, there is New Relic. New Relic is very common, even not in Heroku. Everyone outside modern developers use New Relic. And there are others like Liberato and few more. Just go to elements.heroku.com and filter to the category of application performance. You'll find a collection of them there. But yeah, in this way, you can actually do this. Great. Someone has recommended that Trailhead should come up with a super badge for Heroku. Thanks for your feedback. Actually, we'll be coming up with a developer test exam, but this would be at a very pilot stage right now. We recently announced it on a partner community. But yeah, I will keep you all posted if something come up. Just follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn, and then you'll get a notification if something would be coming up on that. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time. I know we took a bit extra time for covering the Q&A, but yeah, do connect with us, and please do join the upcoming sessions.
Yeah, just to wrap up, I would like to thank Durgesh and Om for this awesome sessions, and thank you so much, guys, for making this entire month very informative. As per the perspective of those who want to learn this Heroku, an awesome platform, definitely, and definitely, I would like to thank Vikram and all other participants who asked really good questions in that session. This is really helpful, to understand end-to-end process of Heroku and what are the challenges people are facing while Heroku, and Durgesh, like you're on our platform and you're answering those questions. So I think this is really a very informative as well as very collaborative session, and definitely, and I also love the quiz how you and Om conducted today, and I must say this is totally a today's session is totally a speaker driven session, and definitely, and we also want our upcoming speakers as well, like they can conduct this entire session end to end without having this the host, and totally dependent upon host and co-host, so definitely we urge our upcoming speakers as well to conduct these impact Salesforce Saturday sessions end to end as a speaker driven. Definitely thank you so much for bringing this and this new tool for quiz as well, and congratulations to our winners, and you will get our this awesome swags from Om really soon. And as Vishal already told, like we are coming up with a D2C session, and guys, we have lots of vouchers we are planning to distribute in D2C sessions, so please try to attend. and these vouchers are definitely the architect related vouchers. So this is a win-win situation for you. You will get to learn new things from Rupesh sir and Rupesh Bhatia, and you also win a certification, not certification vouchers, but yes, some Udemy course vouchers. So, and again, and since we also, this is not a one session we have planned, we have 3 or 4 series planned back to back, and we are totally packed till this entire year. And this is August and September and October is one of our special month to be happen, and it is totally related to some Einstein stuffs, Einstein analytics and Einstein AI. So please try to connect with all our social media links, and please try to follow our website, which is a New Delhi SFDC, and where you will get to know about our upcoming sessions, our initiatives, and as well as we also upload all these videos and PPTs of our previous sessions over there. So that's a really like one stop we are planning. So basically the our main motive for this impact sales for Saturday is to plan is to build a one place solution where if you want to learn something related to Heroku or something related to Lightning, you just visit our New Delhi website and you will get end-to-end series. So you, like you already saw, like we are not focusing on only one session. We are basically emphasis on like a series of sessions on on a particular topic, so that if anyone want to learn a particular topic in Salesforce, so like they can leverage our this series and they will learn end to end about of one topic. So this is one of our initiatives, and thanks to all our awesome speakers in the community, I think we are fulfilling them due to only their support only. So thank you so much Durgesh and Om, and thank you so much guys for joining today's session, and we definitely want to see you in our upcoming sessions. And yeah, thank you so much.
Keep doing awesome job, Sushant and team. Well done. And guys, one thing I want to add, apart from the swags, of course, that's a very cool thing. We all love. Our learning is the real swag. So yeah, let's keep learning together, and of course, we will succeed together. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Take care.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much,
Awesome.
Thanks
Om. Thank you so
everyone.
much, Durgesh. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh,
Fantastic. Bye, everyone.
Thanks all.
bye,
Bye bye.
everyone. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.